So for Nokia, AI equals massive amounts of compute going into these very, very large data centers. These data centers are getting distributed globally because of the sheer size and power requirements that are being placed on these data centers. And that drives a massive amount of connectivity requirements, both inside the data center, between the data centers, and to the end users. And that's where Nokia comes in. We provide all that you need to meet your networking requirements across all those dimensions.
I guess this is the reason why you bought Infinera.
Data center networking is massively important for us. It's a strategic initiative for Nokia. Infinera brings a tremendous amount of capability and market presence in the data center business. They've done a lot of good work on providing data center interconnect capabilities to the hyperscale companies, to the cloud companies, to the network operators who are building out the networking services required to connect data centers. So it's a tremendous add to our Nokia optical business.
Hyperscalers and others are now building these increasingly massive data centers all around the world. To me, it seems like that's at odds with the need to distribute the processing power out to the edge of the network. Do you think one of these approaches is ultimately going to win out?
Actually, you need both. You have to first look at what AI needs. There's two kinds of workloads, training workloads and inferencing workloads. For training, you need these massive giant data centers that have all the compute power you need to train the models. But the magic is really in the inferencing, where you actually use these models to do something useful, to deliver a service. These models need to be placed in more distributed locations to bring them closer to the customer for better performance, lower latency that you need to deliver the best customer experience you want. So you really need both. It's not one or the other.
Industrial digitalization, or Industry 4.0, is going to be a huge market, isn't it? And the IoT applications which are used in those deployments are going to be super important. Where do they sit? Do they sit in the center of the network in the data center or out at the edge of the network?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the application. Some applications that are very latency sensitive or have very strict security requirements will live on the premise in a very small, almost micro data center. Some of those applications will live more in the center, in the city or in the metro. Often a lot of the data that's required for training and tuning those applications will live in the cloud, whereas the actual application may run on-premise itself.
Industry 4.0, or vertical industry digitalization, it's a huge market.
Yeah.
Do they need a different type of data center for those services and applications in vertical industry, or can they use the same model as we use today for, say, a hyperscaler?
Yeah, so it really comes down to the application and the criticality fit. So for example, if you are a power utility and you're running a SCADA application for grid control, you want that to be totally separate, isolated, and running without any concern of any other application interfering with it. So typically you'll then separate that part. That's, but there could be other applications within the utility that are more for just IT kind of applications. Those can live in the normal data centers.